first what we did was we went on the internet and we researched sources and other cases that dealt with our topic, which was student speech. After we created an annotated bibliography with the sources we found, and in each bibliography source we wrote about the topic so it could help us in the future with all the other Socratic seminars and essays. And after that we went through the bibliography and we had to figure out which sources we need to keep or junk. And then so that would prepare us for the Socratic seminar so we could have like one viewpoint, not multiple viewpoints on the topic. And right before our actual Socratic seminar, we had a practice Socratic seminar with a really simple topic, which in our case was should schools have a school uniform policy, and we would have partners and we basically stimulated what a Socratic seminar would usually be like, except with the different topics so we get the hang of it. And then after that we actually had our actual Socratic seminar.
To what extent is student speech protected by the First Amendment? I just ask that you be respectful so that you're not necessarily talking over one another, but you can certainly signal like, hey, I want to talk next or something like that. I do ask you that you use the cards too, and you can hold up more than one card at a time. That's no problem. Are you ready?
Wait, do we hold our cards when we want to talk?
You hold the card to say, this is what I am doing. So if I am going to build on an idea, then I would hold this card up and say, so let me expand. And if you lose your words or you don't know how to start it, the sentence starters are on the back for you. All right. Everybody else, you're taking notes. Okay, so what is being said, what's the argument? You can take it on the back with the peer observation form. You'll get those back. We'll share those out. Good? All right. 10 minutes on the timer.
Yeah, let's see.
Just let him go.
And let us begin.
Okay, so I'm going to cite evidence. The claim that I made was that student speech rights are usually unprotected when students are caught creating online attacks through their home computers against school officials that could possibly damage their reputation. However, in some cases, student speech is protected as long as it's not seen as being disruptive to the school. For example, in the West Virginia State Reports article, the court upheld the suspension of 2 students who were accused of making false accusations about the principal online. Because the courts decided that the students can't be punished for actions taken place off campus, the students weren't punished for whatever it is that they did. The evidence that I found stated, though disturbing, the record indicates that the profile was so outrageous that no one took its content seriously. The high courts didn't want to expand on the issue since it wasn't a huge deal and didn't interfere with schoolwork.
I would like to build on the idea of protected speech over the internet. My claim is that student speech is sometimes protected. The case that I followed was about a girl who said, Miss Sarah Phelps is the worst teacher I've ever met, and she posted this online, but this was an opinion of a student about the teacher that was published off campus, didn't cause disruption on campus, wasn't lewd, vulgar, threatening, or advocating illegal or dangerous behavior, so the case established that the principal could not curtail students' rights to free speech unless the speech or activity was disruptive to the school or violated the First Amendment rights of others. So this was ruled from the U.S. court in Florida that it is protected on the internet if a student isn't saying those things to disrupt the work of the school.
I would like to add to her idea. My claim was that student speech is mostly not protected by the First Amendment when students use social media to threat other students or officials. Like, for example, like in the case of Avery Doninger, like in April 24, 2007, she wrote her private blog that the school officials were douchebags, and the school believed that that was uncivil and offensive. The Supreme Court used the First Amendment to try to limit punishments of unprotected speech in defamatory actions.
Going along with what these three said about
Student speech is found unprotected on social medias, and the post online can cause many consequences to the students, such as being on school grounds. So according to AP Regional State report states that a Pennsylvania case with eighth graders at Blue Mountain Middle School had been disciplined for dress code violations, creating like fake profiles about like teachers and students, containing information of like such as pedophile and sexual images. And later on, all these kids were suspended for days, and well, they obviously went to court. So the U.S. majority court decided that it was unprotected because they were violating other students and the principal's rights. So they took down the page, and the court decided it was a majority of 8-6. So all these students had to face some type of punishment, not such as jail, but as like counseling and such.
I think the best part of the roundtable discussion is hearing what other people have to say, because sometimes, like myself, I'm really one-sided and I don't try to hear other people's opinions, but after hearing what they have to say and their stand on the view, it makes me change my viewpoints a little and helps me formulate my essay as well. There are 2 rounds that you could speak in, so the first round, if you didn't get to speak as much, you could talk about what you could discuss with your partner, what you should say in the second round, and how you could speak up more and what to improve on.
I would like to add to what she said, like, if like students make the speech that's not educational purpose, then like the school is able to intervene like in the speech. But like if it's not like intervening with the school, then it's okay for them to like say their view.
I want to add on to the idea of disrupting the school. I have a claim that student speech is sometimes unprotected in most cases on the internet. A high school student, Matt, said "F you, Mrs. John" on Facebook, and the school administrators may discipline students for making statements that materially and substantially disrupt the work and discipline of the school, or that create a foreseeable risk of disruption, and that was from the Tinker versus Des Moines case. And they may punish vulgar or offensive speech as part of their responsibility for teaching students the boundary of socially appropriate behavior, and that was from the Bethel School District versus Frazier.
Do you think that any of the cases that you read were like kind of like unfair? Do you think it's like should be a different opinion?
Well, I think each case has a certain amount of punishment that you could give to a student, such as, building, like, as they said, posting stuff online, and at school, like, having, like, displays of, like, endorsing something to the school. Like, we can't just come up with, like, endorsing stuff at school, because obviously that's not right and it's not educational, but each case should have, like, a maximum or minimum punishment.
I agree with Daisy, and I read an article about how students made parodies of their principals that they created online, and the high court decision said that students cannot be disciplined at school for parodies of their principals that they created on home computers and posted online. And they said that when kids go to school, the parents give up control, but once the kids leave the school, the parents again are the primary custodians, and they have the decision making for the punishment over their children.
So I would like to talk about student speech in newspapers. My claim is that student speech is sometimes unprotected in newspapers because when a child is participating in a school activity, school officials are responsible for what the students are doing and how they're acting in a way that doesn't make the school look bad or disrupt the school. So school administrators are held responsible for the damages that result from erroneous or libelous speech. Students are allowed to be censored in a school newspaper because the adults are facilitating what's being published and what people think the school endorses.
You're done. We have to save it. Okay, so that was the end of round 1. We're going to go ahead and folks go back to your partners. Some of them, folks on the outside of the What did you write? How can they improve?